A week ago, my mother showed up at my front door in a cream blazer and fresh manicure, holding a Nordstrom bag like it could fix everything. Jasmine perfume hit me first. Then the smile. The one she saves for fundraisers and people who matter. I said 2 words that ended 29 years of pretending. "What baby?" She stared at me like I had lost my mind. Maybe I had. Or maybe I had finally found it. Let me go back 5 days earlier because that's where this really starts. My name is Myra Enfield. I'm 32 years old. I'm a structural engineer. I work at a firm 40 minutes from the house I grew up in. I put myself through school on scholarships and weekend shifts. I married Nathan Reeves, a firefighter. Quiet man, steady hands, the kind of person who shows up. I grew up in Westbrook, Connecticut. 4 bedrooms, in-ground pool, 2 Lexus sedans in the driveway. The Enfield family had it all on the surface. My father, Gerald, owned a construction supply company. My mother, Judith, was the director of the family image. Fundraising chair at Grace Lutheran. Country club membership renewed like a sacred vow. Then there was Victoria, my sister. 5 years younger. Blonde, polished, the one everyone noticed. She worked at Dad's company in communications. The title was generous. The real job was showing up and looking like she belonged. I never said this out loud, but I understood early. I mattered less. It was quieter than that. Surgical. When I was 10, my father came home early from work. The only time I remember him doing that for me. He sat on the edge of my bed and handed me a small velvet box. Inside was a silver bracelet, thin chain, my name engraved on the clasp. Or, "Happy birthday, kid. This one's just for you." I wore that bracelet every single day for 22 years. I fixed it twice with needle nose pliers. It was the one piece of proof that my father had seen me. 4 years before I got pregnant, Dad's company almost collapsed. A major contract fell through. Debt hit $1.2 million. He called me at 11 on a Thursday night. His voice cracked. Through my work at the firm, I knew the right person at Harrove Development Group, one of the largest commercial builders in New England. I made one call. Gerald got a $3.4 million contract. The company survived. At the signing dinner, Gerald raised his glass and toasted Victoria. Every I went to her. She smiled, graceful and modest. I sat at the end of the table. Nobody corrected him. I had the email saved in a folder I never opened again. 22 years into this life, I learned not to keep score with family. But I learned that lesson too late. Here's where I was when everything changed. I was 39 weeks pregnant. Due in 4 days. Living in a townhouse in Hartford with Nathan. We weren't rich. We were steady. My father called on a Tuesday evening. He never called unless Judith made him. "Your mother is hosting a dinner this Saturday. Big investors. The Patterson Group. $5 million potential deal. Could be the biggest contract the company has ever signed. Dad, I'm due in 4 days." Silence. I heard him breathe. "I know, sweetheart. Your mother just needs the evening to go smoothly." He was asking me to sort place cards while I was 9 months pregnant and 3 days from labor. I told Nathan. He said, "Family first." His chief said it faster than my own parents ever had. Saturday came like a slow-motion collision. The Enfield house was transformed. 16 place settings. Linen napkins. Catering van out back. My sister Victoria stood in the foyer wearing a red off-the-shoulder dress and an engagement ring Derek had bought her. She looked like everything my mother had trained her to be. My mother came down the stairs in jasmine perfume and a navy sheath dress. "You're here. Good. Can you check the place cards in the dining room?" "No hello. No how are you feeling?" "Just place cards." I checked them. 16 names. Mine was not among them. "Mom, there's no card for me." She barely looked up. "We ran out of the ivory ones. Just pull up a chair near the kitchen. You'll be more comfortable there anyway." A contraction tightened across my lower back. I steadied myself on the dining table and breathed through it. The guests arrived at 7. A woman I didn't recognize found me during the salad course. She lowered her voice. "I know Hero's VP of Operations. He mentioned an Enfield woman once. Not Victoria. You." I picked up my water glass. That was a different time. She studied me. "You don't look like someone who stays behind the scenes. You look like someone who was put there." The second contraction hit harder. I gripped the edge of the table. At 9:15, the third contraction rolled through me like concrete. I knew what this was. Early labor. Not false alarm. My daughter was coming. I walked to the hallway. "Mom, I think I'm in labor. Contractions are 9 minutes apart. I need someone to drive me to the hospital." Judith looked at me, then back at the living room. "Myra, not now. We're in the middle of something." I grabbed the hallway table. Another contraction. Judith watched it happen. She did not move. I found my father pouring wine for investors. "Dad, I need to go to the hospital now." He looked at me. Then he looked at Judith, who shook her head. Barely visible. But I caught it. "Can it wait an hour? We're right in the middle of..." My contractions are 8 minutes apart. Derek appeared in the doorway, tie loosened, drink in hand. "She can take a cab, can't she? We're about to close." Then my mother said words I will hear for the rest of my life. She said them softly, not looking up from the napkin she was refolding. "Call a cab, Myra. We're busy." The dining room held 16 people. Not one of them looked at me. I stood in that silence for 4 seconds, long enough to memorize every face, long enough to understand that I was not being ignored. I was being erased. I picked up my car keys and walked to the front door. Nobody followed. Nobody called my name. 9:40 p.m. October. I drove myself to St. Mary's Hospital. 18 minutes. Every red light felt like punishment. Every contraction brought me closer to something I could not name yet. A nurse named Colleen met me at the entrance. Red hair, mid-40s. "Where's your support person?" "He's coming." "Who dropped you off?" "I drove." She looked at me, sweating, shaking, alone at 39 weeks, and didn't ask another question. Labor and delivery, room 4. The bed was cold. The lights were bright. Colleen checked my cervix. 4 centimeters. Active labor. She wrote in my chart. I saw the top line. Patient arrived alone, self-transported. No emergency contact present at admission. I lay there with my daughter pressing down and my phone on the bedside table. That's when I saw the notification. Enfield family group chat. Victoria had accidentally re-added me a week before. I had not opened it. But labor strips you down. You stop pretending. Victoria, 9:42 p.m. OMG, Myra just made a scene about going to the hospital. Judith, 9:44 p.m. I told her to call a cab. She's always dramatic. Derek, 9:45 p.m. Patterson almost walked out. Control your daughter, Gerald. Gerald, 9:47 p.m. She left. It's handled. She left. It's handled. 3 words from the man who gave me a silver bracelet when I was 10 and told me it was just for me. I looked at that bracelet on my wrist. For the first time in 22 years, it felt heavy. Nathan burst through the door at 10:35. "I'm here." 2 words. The right ones. Eloise Reeves was born at 3:17 in the morning. 7 pounds 2 ounces. Full head of dark hair. Nathan cried, hands over his mouth. He looked at our daughter like she was the first real thing he had ever seen. I held Eloise on my chest. I did not check my phone until Nathan fell asleep around 5. 0 calls from the Enfield family. 0 texts. 0 voicemails. Dolores arrived at 6. Nathan's mother. She carried chicken soup, a quilt her mother made, and a stuffed bear wearing a tiny firefighter helmet. She held Eloise with the confidence of a woman who had raised 4 children. Then she turned to me, one hand on my cheek. "You did good, sweetheart. Now rest. I've got her." She sat in the recliner. She didn't check her phone. She was just there. Two grandmothers. One asleep after a party. One holding my daughter at sunrise. That was the morning I understood the difference between family you are born into and family that shows up. Wednesday I came home. Thursday nothing. Friday nothing. 3 days after Eloise was born, not a single member of the Enfield family had called, texted, or sent flowers. That Wednesday night I sat in the rocking chair, nursing Eloise at 2 in the morning. I looked down at the silver bracelet on my wrist. For the first time in 22 years I took it off. I walked to the closet, found a shoebox, placed the bracelet inside and closed the lid. Nathan stirred. "Have you heard from your parents?" "No." He was quiet. He got up and made tea. He did not push. I sat with my daughter in the dark and made a decision. Not in anger. In clarity. My daughter will not grow up waiting for people who never come. Thursday, 2 in the afternoon. 5 days after Eloise was born. I was on the couch, Eloise asleep on my chest. The house smelled like formula and safety. Then a knock. I opened the door. Jasmine perfume hit me first. Then the Nordstrom bag. Then the smile. Surprise, I came to see the baby. She held up the bag like it could fix everything. "Victoria told me you already delivered. Why didn't you call?" I stood in the doorway. I did not step aside. "Why didn't I call?" I repeated. "I did call. Saturday night. 9:15 p.m. You told me to call a cab." Her smile flickered. That micro adjustment I had seen 1,000 times. "Oh, that Myra. We were in the middle of the Patterson dinner. You understand?" I looked at my mother. Really looked at her. The jasmine. The blazer. The gift bag time 5 days late. Everything about her was a presentation. "What baby?" I said. "What do you mean, what baby? You didn't have a granddaughter Saturday night. You didn't have one Sunday or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. So what baby are you here to see?" "Myra, you're being ridiculous." "I'm being clear." I closed the door. Not hard. Not soft. Just closed. Through the door I heard her breathe. I smelled jasmine fading. The Nordstrom bag sat on my porch for 3 hours. Nathan brought it inside. I never opened it. Some gifts arrived too late to be anything but evidence. 20 minutes after I closed the door, Gerald called. "Your mother is very upset." "I know. She had the chance to see the baby Saturday night. She chose a dinner." Pause. I could hear Judith in the background. High-pitched staccato. The sound she makes when someone denies her a front-row seat. "Your mother wants to come back tomorrow. She can want whatever she wants." The answer is no. He hung up. Victoria texted 20 minutes later. "Mom is crying. Are you happy now?" I stared at the screen. The crying. The guilt. The pivot to make me the villain. I had watched this playbook my entire life. Not this time. Nathan took my phone from the table. Enough for today. We didn't speak about it again for 2 weeks. Then an email arrived. I was at the kitchen table. Eloise was in the bouncer beside me, chewing a teething ring. My laptop was open to a project report. The email landed at 2:14 p.m. Sender Margaret Patterson. Subject: Something you should know. Dear Myra, I wanted you to know that we have pulled out of the Enfield deal. After our conversation at the dinner, I did some research. The Harrove introduction. That was yours, wasn't it? Dan Whitfield confirmed it. I don't do business with people who erase their own family. Below the message, she had attached 3 documents. Public records. Derek Blaine had 2 prior fraud complaints filed in Rhode Island. His real estate license in that state had been suspended 18 months ago. He had never mentioned it. I read the email twice. Then I sat back. I had not asked Margaret Patterson to investigate. I had not told her my story. I had simply answered her question in a hallway at a dinner party. Honestly, that was all. I did not pull the thread. I just told the truth. The thread unraveled on its own. I forwarded the email to Gerald. No message. No commentary. Subject line changed to "You should know." That evening, Nathan and I ate dinner. Eloise slept through the whole meal. At 9 p.m. my phone buzzed. Gerald's number. I let it ring. Then a text from Victoria. "What did you do?" From inside the Enfield house, even through a phone screen, I could hear the sound of Judith screaming. Gerald called the next morning at 7 a.m. I picked up because he never called that early unless something was on fire. This time something was. The Patterson deal is dead. $5 million. Myra gone. Did you know about Derek? Some complaint in Rhode Island. I forwarded you the email. You could have warned us earlier. I let that sentence sit in the air for 3 full seconds. You could have driven me to the hospital. Nothing. Dad. Margaret Patterson pulled out because she learned the truth. Not because of me. Because of what you let happen. The Harrove credit. The dinner. All of it. Your mother thinks you did this on purpose. My mother thinks everything I do is on purpose except being born. Shuffling. A door opening. Then Judith's voice, sharp and close, like she had ripped the phone from Gerald's hand. You ruined this family. You always have been the ungrateful one. After everything we've done for you, what have you done for me? My voice was level. Not cold. Not hot. Level. Name one thing. I'll wait. 3 seconds of silence. I gave you a home. You gave me an address. Dolores gave me a home. I heard Judith inhale. A sharp, wet sound. The sound of someone who has never been answered back. You'll regret this, Myra. Mark my words. Maybe. But I won't regret driving myself to the hospital to have your granddaughter while you poured wine for strangers. That one is yours to carry. I hung up. Set the phone face down on the counter. My hands did not shake. 3 weeks later, the christening was set. Nathan had planned it carefully. Grace Community Church. 62 seats. Front pew reserved. Family only. The kind that shows up. Nurse Colleen would be there. Dolores. His brother Kevin. My colleagues from the firm. 3 firefighters from Station 12. Everyone who had answered their phones at 9:15 on a Saturday night. The invitations went out on Monday. Cream envelopes. Formal print. The Enfields received one like everyone else. No handwritten note. Just the facts. Judith called within an hour. Am I being treated like a stranger at my own granddaughter's christening? You're being treated like a guest. I deserve to be in the front row. I am her grandmother. You deserve a seat. That's what the invitation is. The christening was on Sunday at 10 a.m. Saturday night, I took the silver bracelet out of the shoebox. I held it under the lamp. The engraving was almost invisible now. Just a ghost of letters. I placed it in a small black box, the kind you get at a jewelry store. I wrote a card in my neatest handwriting. Dad, I kept this for 22 years. I don't need it anymore, but you should remember who you were when you gave it to me. Nathan carried the box all morning. Sunday morning, Grace Community Church sat on a hill at the edge of town. White clapboard. Stained glass. Gold light coming through colored glass, falling on wooden pews. I wore a white blouse, hair pulled back, no jewelry. For the first time in 22 years, my left wrist was bare. I noticed it every time I moved my hand. Eloise wore a christening gown. Ivory cotton. Hand-stitched lace at the hem. Dolores's gift. She had spent 3 weeks sewing it. Every baby in the Reeves family wore something she made. Front pew. Nathan, Dolores, Nathan's brother Kevin and his wife, Nathan's Aunt Ruth. Nurse Colleen sat third pew in a green dress. Colleagues and firefighters filled the room. 10:05. The main door opened. Heels on hardwood. Judith Enfield walked in carrying white roses and wearing a pastel blue dress. Behind her, a photographer. Behind him, Victoria, eyes swollen. Gerald came last, gray suit, tight jaw. Judith walked straight toward the front pew. Nathan stood. He did not move aside. He did not raise his voice. Third row from the back, Mrs. Enfield. Those are your seats. Judith stopped. Excuse me. Gerald's face went pale. Victoria grabbed Judith's arm. Mom, let's just sit down. Judith sat third row from the back. The roses rested on her lap like a prop she had not been cued to use. Pastor Williams stood at the front. He had married Nathan and me 3 years ago. We are gathered to welcome Eloise Margaret Reeves into this community of faith and love. Who will guide this child in love and truth? Nathan stood. Dolores stood. Kevin and Stacy stood. Aunt Ruth stood. From the back of the church, Judith watched strangers stand for her granddaughter. She could not take it. She rose. Her chair scraped the floor. The sound cut through the hymn like a break. I am her grandmother. Her voice carried. I should be up there. This is my granddaughter. 62 heads turned. The organist stopped mid-chord. I turned slowly. I found my mother's face in the back row. Mascara running. Lips trembling. Roses crushed against her chest. I did not raise my voice. I did not step forward. I stayed exactly where I was, Eloise in my arms. Sit down, Mom. Judith's mouth opened. Don't you dare. Nathan's voice came from beside me. Low. Even. The voice he uses in burning buildings. Ma'am, please sit down. Judith sat. The ceremony continued. Scripture. A hymn I hummed along to. Then the fellowship hall. I was pouring coffee when Jasmine hit me for the last time. Judith stood 3 feet away. Mascara streaked. Hair still perfect. Nothing shook Judith's hair. How could you humiliate me like that in front of strangers? I set the coffee pot down. Strangers. These people were in the delivery room. These people brought soup at 6 in the morning. These people answered their phones at 9:15 on a Saturday night. I am your mother. That means something. It should have. Saturday night was your chance to prove it. You told me to call a cab. Gerald appeared at her shoulder. His face was gray. Myra, your mother made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting a birthday. I looked at him directly. Choosing a dinner over your daughter's labor is a decision. And I'm allowed to make mine. Victoria stepped forward, eyes red, voice cracking. You're tearing this family apart. This family was apart. I just stopped pretending it wasn't. The room had gone quiet. The banner above us read, Welcome, Eloise. I stood at the counter and spoke in the voice I use in engineering reviews. Clear. Measured. On the record. Mom, you said we can only afford one daughter tonight. You were right. You chose. And so did I. Nathan reached into his jacket pocket. He had carried the box all morning. He pulled out the small black box with the silver bracelet. I held it out to Gerald. Dad, I kept this for 22 years. I don't need it anymore, but you should remember who you were when you gave it to me. He took the box. Opened it. The silver bracelet caught the overhead light. Scratched. Thin. The engraving almost gone. His fingers trembled. He read the card. I watched his eyes move across the words. He closed them. For a moment, standing in a fellowship hall with 62 witnesses, Gerald Enfield looked like the man who sat on the edge of a 10-year-old's bed and said, This one's just for you. Then Colleen stood. Third pew. Green dress. Hospital badge still on the lanyard around her neck. She did not raise her voice. I was the nurse on duty that night. She came in alone. 39 weeks. She drove herself. No one called. No one came. I wrote it in the chart. The room held its breath. Judith looked at Colleen, then at the room, then at every face that was not looking away. Not one person stood with her. Gerald closed the bracelet box. Judith, let's go. Judith, say something. And my father, in the quietest voice I had ever heard him use, repeated the words he had typed in a group chat. She left. It's handled. He walked to the door. Judith followed. Victoria followed. The photographer packed his camera. He had not taken a single shot. The roses Judith brought sat on the back pew, petals already browning at the edges. The door closed behind them. The church exhaled. Dolores walked over. She took my hand. You don't owe anyone the right to hurt your child. Remember that. We drove home in silence. Eloise slept in the car seat. The November trees were bare along Route 9, branches black against a white sky. I did not check my phone. I did not wonder who would call. For the first time in 32 years, I was not waiting for anything. 2 months later, the dominoes fell. Margaret Patterson's withdrawal triggered a chain reaction. Without the $5 million deal, Derek's involvement came under scrutiny. The fraud complaints surfaced publicly. His suspended license. The misrepresented property values. Victoria ended the engagement in December. She showed up at our parents' house on a Tuesday, dropped the ring on the kitchen counter, and drove away in the BMW that Derek was still making payments on. Gerald had signed a personal guarantee on an $800,000 line of credit that Derek had arranged. When the deal collapsed, the firm called the note. Gerald could not cover it. Enfield and Associates lost 2 major contracts in January. Clients cited reputational concerns. Judith was quietly asked to step down from the church fundraising board. She resigned the country club membership the same week. 2 pillars of the Judith Enfield brand gone in 7 days. Victoria called me in February. First time since the christening. Derek is gone. Mom and Dad might lose the house. Can you help? I'm sorry about Derek, but I can't fix what I didn't break. Gerald filed Chapter 11 in March. The Colonial in Westbrook went on the market. For bedrooms. In-ground pool. 2-car garage. I read the listing online. I recognized the kitchen where I had folded napkins into shapes for people who did not know my name. I did not feel revenge. I did not feel relief. I felt tired. I picked up my daughter and we went for a walk. Nathan had bought me new shoes a week after the christening. Brown leather. Good soles. He set them by the door without saying anything. I wore them every day after that. To the park with Eloise. To the grocery store. To the firm when I went back to work in January. New ground. New shoes. I used to think family meant staying. Through the silence. Through the humiliation. Through Saturday nights when nobody came. But now I know family means showing up. And some people just don't.